What's up, comic book fans? This is Pete from Comic Books Transformed, where we talk about the adaptations of your favorite comic books into streaming shows and movies. And now we are talking about something that wasn't its own standalone comic. It was an arc on The Boys. We're talking about Gen V. And this show has kind of become its own thing, too. Brian, we only have one episode of Gen V left after the one we're about to discuss. Are you
Yeah.
happy with where the show is going?
I definitely was, and now I didn't know how it was going to end, but I guess after today we're kind of seeing it and how it's got a lot more synergy with the last season of The Boys than I was going to expect, but which makes sense.
Yes.
I do feel there was like a sharp turn with the motives or of the show, sort of. I didn't expect that whole superhero rights kind of conversation coming in, which it makes sense because that's very much an X-Men thing, the whole uh, mutants being a hated and feared minority kind of allegory. But it's coming through here is kind of twisted because it's fueled by Homelander essentially.
Yeah.
Um, so it really is like an inverse of X-Men in a way.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. You just kind of gave me like a metaphor boner, man. Because what's interesting about the show is that okay. X-Men is like this metaphor. Usually people say it's a metaphor for like, African Americans, or it's a metaphor for homosexuality, or it's about the group that always feels vilified in the real world or is mistreated in the real world. That's what the X-Men are. That's what mutants are. But what's interesting about Supes in this world is that they're kind of almost like the MAGA people, you know.
Yes.
And I mean, and it's like, so like they're not subtle about it in this show. Like when they have this like college, there's like an interview at the college, and then the people start protesting and stuff. The guy that like is pushing the whole thing has a fucking like MAGA kind of hat on.
Yeah.
And not only does he have a MAGA hat on, but he is a guy who uses mental powers to like essentially date rape people.
Yeah, which is really messed up. It was he's been a nice background character to kind of fuel that that side's wrong.
But what's interesting, that's a great point, is because you have two characters in The Boys that transfer over onto this episode, and they're characters where like they do things. One of them, what's the fucking old lady's name?
Mallory.
Mallory. Okay, so Mallory is a character that when you see her on The Boys, it's like that's a good person. She's trying to do the right thing, but she does like really fucked up things. And then you have the woman that should be the vice president guy, which is
Victoria Neuman.
Neuman. Thank you so much, Neuman. And so Neuman, and her motives are still kind of confusing. I don't really understand exactly what she's doing. Like she works with Vought, right? She's like
Yeah,
secretly a
that was the
soup.
confusing thing. So in the comics, Victor Newman was a patsy essentially. He was a little moron that they installed as the vice president to under the was it president? I know in the show it's President Singer, but I don't remember if that's the president in the comic or not because
I
I
don't.
keep thinking because
Yeah,
he's played by the guy who played Bobby Singer in Supernatural. So I'm getting my lines confused.
yeah. I don't think he was President Singer in the comic. You know way more about the comic than I do, but I know that like the producer on Supernatural, his name was Bobby Singer too, and that's where
Oh,
Bobby
that's
Singer.
right. That's right. So
So,
I that's probably like a nod
right.
then. So I think that that president is sort of mostly on the up and up. I think,
Yeah.
and it's Vaught's trying to kind of sneak their way uh, into political control here. The goal of the comic again was to get soups and soup technology into the military and to turn them into like a fighting force to control them so they can't go rogue like Homelander clearly has.
Yes.
Um, this show, I mean, last week it was very interesting that Dean Shetty had her goal was to not control them, but to use this research to create a virus that will kill them all because we find out that she's seeking revenge here for because with a nice callback, her family was on the plane that Homelander shoots down earlier on in the show, which I don't remember was season 1 or 2.
Right. I think it was season 1, but yeah, really good point. I was actually going to bring that up because I'm on a Gen V Reddit thread, and one of the recent posts was someone was like too soon, and it showed a picture of like Homelander handing this little girl on the plane like a doll, and she was smiling, and I think they were implying that that's her daughter. And then in the comments, one person asked this really great question that I was going to throw to you and see if you could answer. How does Dean Shetty know what happened on that plane?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, they couldn't have been in contact, over a phone because phones aren't on there.
Yeah.
So was this? Oh man, was this plane crash the one when they went on the plane and tried to save them, or was
Yes.
it the
Yes.
one where Homelander just flies up and sees a plane and blows it up? Which I don't remember if happens in the show or just the comic.
Oh, okay. I think in the show, the only thing with the plane that I've seen is them trying to save the people, and then they can't, and then they blow
Well,
up.
okay. So if this is the one where it's Homelander and Maeve on the plane and they abandon it,
Yeah.
um, I think there was some cell phone evidence
Okay.
that got out, and maybe she got a hold of it somehow. I don't know how.
Yeah.
But even still, though, that wasn't that long ago,
Mm-mm.
and it just doesn't feel like it could line up exactly like how she could get into this position that she's in. How no one can mention that her family is dead anywhere, and how it ties in with the timeline of Kate being young and her growing up and kind of working with her.
That
Like
is
it
a
doesn't seem like that could line up properly.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like she's known Kate for like probably 10, no, maybe not 10 years, maybe like 5 or 6 years at least. And there's
yeah.
no way that like that plane crash seems a lot more recent.
Right. Yes, like the plane crash is maybe like 2 years ago, if even.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Yeah.
how they can advance that much research and and even her getting in that position where she could control that seems
Yeah.
kind of far fetched, I guess.
Boy, dude, you just fucking just took this show apart, man, because I didn't even think of all that. That's a really good point.
Yeah, no, like I said, this episode took a really hard turn, I think, and I don't know, I still liked it, but I have a lot of questions, and I feel like there are some potential inconsistencies here that I'd like to look into.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, right? Is that when it comes to genre stuff like this, comic book stuff, the stuff that is the bread and butter of our channel, there are people like us that like nitpick and the logistics take them out of it so much. They're like, oh, the timeline doesn't add up or blah blah blah. But I think that what makes people overlook those things is when you get like really good performances, just really good scenes, good acting, good writing, and that this show has that. And this show and the boys in particular, it's just really good at kind of shocking you and like the emotion. One thing I love about this show that does not happen on the Disney Plus shows or the Star Wars shows or whatever is that it never feels like filler. It doesn't feel like, oh, we're just kind of doing this because we need to like hold off until we get to this point. It's always like, this is interesting, and now we're following this own arc, and this is interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, agreed. And in terms of that comment about overlooking things, I think, in terms of when performances are really good and the drama is really there and engaging, I think it is easier to overlook minor details and things like that. But this feels a little bit like too much.
Right.
So
Right.
that's why I think I think it's valid to nitpick
Oh,
when it's like that much potentially.
agreed. I think you're totally right, and it's interesting because like I think that they're kind of just thinking that the audience is not going to sit there and be like, wait a minute, how does this line up? It doesn't line up at all. And I think because they do such sensational shit to kind of distract you. This episode, was there really anything that kind of stood out sensational wise? Like I know that they blew up the one scientist guy's head at the very end, but they didn't really do anything too graphic or disturbing, right? Or am I missing some kind of
Yeah,
glaring?
yeah. I mean, they did blow up the guy's head, and like you said, and I think there's the reveal in general that, and I don't know why we didn't think about this, that Victoria Newman and Marie have the same power set. Um,
I feel like that's a little bit of a retcon, though.
I mean, is it? I mean, she blew up that guy's dick at one point.
That is true. That is true. Okay. Okay. Good point. Good
So
point.
I think it makes perfect sense. I'm surprised I didn't think of it earlier.
Yeah. 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 Um,
So okay, so like I liked how they tied her in though, how they tied Victoria Newman in as kind of Marie's benefactor and how she got out of Red River and why she's at God U and all that. Like I really like that, but maybe it's just that Flight 37 thing was just too much of a trying to tie everything up in a neat bow.
yeah.
And I think it's weird is if they didn't specifically mention that flight. Um, Maybe it could have worked in some manner. I guess I don't know. I guess I see what they're doing because they're trying to tie it all back to the villainy of Homelander and the
Yes.
kind of downfall of into his mental state. But yeah,
Yeah, but you know what? Maybe they should have done because there's many, many characters in the boys, especially the main characters, who have been wronged by Soups, by the Soups being just careless and just murdering someone. And you could have made that Shetty's family got killed for by Homelander himself too, but just for like another incident.
yeah, but I guess it works because that scene was covered up and it's known to us, and
Okay.
it makes sense that that most people wouldn't know about what really happened, but maybe someone would be able to find out somehow.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the timelines are really murky there.
Yeah, it does make the show tighter. That's the thing with comic book media in general. Like, and, you know, it's kind of, you know, we talk about this shit so much on this channel. It's something to point out that, like, you know, because comics like to tie things together or make things be connected where they weren't necessarily thought of in a connected way at first, but then they shoehorn it together. I think that's what they're trying to do here, and sometimes it kind of messes up the story a bit, where it's like, oh well, it has to be connected. It has to have this strong connection,
Yeah,
and I think it would have worked better as its own kind of story.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say is, you know, how do you think the show is going to end now? Because I mean, to me, it seems like the team we thought we had together has kind of been splintered now. You know, with and I got to say too, it looks like Kate is sort of on the MAGA side now,
Look at you
as
going.
well as Sam, which I found very interesting. His little. He's lived this very sheltered life, and he kind of gets this little glimpse of what life could be like, and he's very naive at the same time. So he's kind of swept up into this very easily. But it looks like Kate and Sam are kind of like gonna join forces and go destroy the woods and kind of fight for soup rights.
Interesting, interesting. Well, I mean, even Marie kind of she's tempted too, right? Because she has that conversation with Neuman, and Neuman is talking about how it's like, well, if you try to expose this to the media, this is going to happen to you. But if you kind of play the game, you could become the first African American woman on the seven. You know, so
Yeah,
she's kind of tempting her. I don't know what's ultimately going to happen with her because it becomes how cynical is the boys and how cynical is this show, because you have the idea of like these soups kind of they're not buying into it and they're kind of trying to do the right thing, like Cricket and I guess would you say
Jordan.
that Jordan
I would say
is
Jordan and Andre are kind of on the right side here, and then Marie's kind of in the middle because, like you said, she had that proposition or that advice from Neuman.
well, and Cricket's on the right side too, right?
But yeah, Cricket, Jordan, and Andre are on the right side here, I think.
Yeah, I think probably the way that this season will end, to answer your question, I think that you'll see them kind of almost like two different sides, and it'll be this kind of like they don't like each other, and I think that like the ones that don't like the ones that are trying to do the right thing will have to kind of go in hiding like the boys, and the other ones will like stay at God U, and then maybe we'll get some like new God U characters that'll start to kind of pop up while the other ones are in hiding.
Maybe, yeah. I'm intrigued by the idea of a season 2 of this.
Yeah.
We know it was greenlit, and I'm so curious. if anybody's going to die here. I mean, somebody has to die. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
that's
yes.
just the way the boys works.
Yes.
But I'm not sure who and what a possible season 2 could even look like.
Yeah. It's interesting because like the whole virus thing is such a like, whoa, this is a game changer. This is like an apocalyptic event for the Soups. And it almost kind of seems like they kind of like wrapped it up and it might be off the table now after this
Yeah,
episode.
I feel like it's gonna, because Neuman has what exists of the virus. I feel like this is gonna get wrapped into somehow a weapon to kill Homelander in the boys. That's what's gonna happen with that, in my best estimation. The one thing I wanted to ask too, we were just talking about Kate and kind of her stance on everything here. Did you think for a second that when she went to go see, when she first talked to Shetty when she came home, did you think that they were going to work together again? Because Shetty said something about one last push. And then I kind of, that scene where all the characters show up at the house, I was kind of thinking, like, are they trying to trick them? But I don't think they are doing that. I think it's legit. Like, I think.
Oh, fuck. Wait a minute.
So Shetty comes back. Kate is just there. They talk. She kind of convinces her, like, you just come with me one more time, do this one more thing, and then we're home. We're scot-free. We can go out and do whatever. But then when the characters show up at Kate's behest, it looks like Kate is holding Shetty hostage. And I definitely, it went through my head, like, wait, what's the play here? Like, is she making them hallucinate this? Is Shetty actually dead? What is, but it's if you watch the preview, it seems like they're going to dismantle the woods, or Kate is. So it seems like that actually might have been, Shetty, Kate telling Shetty to slit her own throat might have been legit.
I am so dumb that I didn't for a second there think that might be like an illusion that she put in everyone else's head. I didn't think that for a second. And,
yeah, it still could be. It still could be that. I'm not sure, but
yeah. Well, because
it seems like if it's not, they did a really good job of fooling me.
Yeah. Because if it's an illusion, then you could have Shetty kind of as like a rogue person. Maybe they still dismantle the woods and stuff, but she's sort of like out there in the world trying to like figure out what happened to the virus or something,
Maybe, yeah.
And then maybe like she transfers over to the boys show where she like comes into contact with Butcher or something and is like, oh, this woman, Victoria Neuman, has the virus. Like I don't know if they're trying to go even further. But when I first watched it, I was under the impression that she legitimately died, but there was something that was off. You're totally right. There was something that was off about that whole sequence. Like I was like, wait a minute, they're gonna make her kill herself? That doesn't seem like where that last scene set us up for.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. And I was actually shocked to see her slit her throat. I was like, oh damn, okay, that's the end of this sequence. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I also had one last question for you too. Like, what's up with Polarity's dad?
Yeah, that also came out of left field, and that kind of removes him from the the events that is going to transpire here. You see that he gets the message to come to Dean Chetty's place, and he turns his phone over and ignores it. And that's kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, that kind of is leading me toward it being an illusion, because he's going to be the one that's like, no, like that didn't happen.
Yes, that's
he
right.
He wasn't there to have his mind changed or whatever.
Yes,
I did think that was an interesting sequence with the dad kind of like having an aneurysm or whatever happened, and his powers going all crazy. And then they're driving the ambulance, and and Andre's actually like using his powers to keep the thing rolling. I thought that was a really cool looking sequence.
Oh hell yeah!
But it's like completely out of left field, and I'm like, what is this? How does this tie in? Like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah. It was like so brutal too, like with the EMS workers like getting hurt by all the shit flying around in there. That was a crazy ass scene. But I was like, yeah, why is the dad having an aneurysm? What's going on? I thought that maybe he had been infected by the virus or something, but I mean that's not the case. But I was like, what is going on there?
Maybe.
Who knows? Who knows? That would be quite a cliffhanger if like the virus somehow got out and it was starting to go through the God view students. I don't know.
We did see a scene earlier in the show where they are exposing other people in the woods to the virus. So it is very possible that maybe that is what happened.
Yeah, that was so fucking cruel. That was a really nasty scene with them all in that cell together.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool about the boys is that essentially Shetty is like kind of on the good guy side. She's trying to like get rid of Soups, but she's doing something fucking nightmarish.
Yeah,
You
but,
know?
which is very aligned with Butcher though.
Right. But that's what's so good about the show is that like the good guys, or in quotations, the good guys can do fucking horrible things.
Yeah.
It all depends on, and that's a major theme of this show and the comic too, is like, you know, who who are you allowed to do these horrific things to, or like, you know, is it okay that that it happens to these people over here but not these people, you know, like obviously go ahead.
Like, is it justified to use these terrific things to these horrible people?
Right, exactly. And so this show kind of takes it further than the boys did, where it's like the Soups are like a type of person, you know, and it's going way more into that X-Men metaphor, like you said at the beginning of the video. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, we just did a fucking marathon. If you guys haven't checked out, if you guys like Doom Patrol by any chance, check out our video. Brian and I just covered the first 4 episodes of this last part of season 4 of Doom Patrol. And then we also covered Loki. And we finally just did Gen V. So we're just getting caught up on all these shows that are all out at the same time. Which one did you like the most out of all of them, Brian?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, the ones we covered today, obviously the Doom Patrol musical, because that was incredible. We didn't even talk about that as much as I would have wanted to. But if you talk about the last 3 episodes of what we reviewed here, I'm going to – oh, man. I don't know. They were all great. This is a great week.
It was a great week, yeah. Even Loki, like, because I have kind of a bad taste for the Marvel stuff at this point, and for the Star Wars stuff, and Loki, I was still enjoying a lot.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for doing this marathon with me, and we hope that you guys have subscribed to Comic Books Transformed. And Brian and I will be back for this all next week. We're going to talk about Gen V once again. We will see you guys real soon.